Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Emerald. We're just gonna get started right away. I didn't expect that trainer battle, but we'll be getting started right away, of course, because we still have a lot of trainers to get through before we get to Route 121 and then Mount Pyre. And I do want to point out on Route 121 there's the Safari Zone. We cannot enter it yet, which is very sad because the Safari Zone actually does hold our next team member, which would be great to know and have, but you know, we can't win them all. Nuzleaf, well, Gardevoir is not a great answer, but we have Crobat, which counters basically everything. I do want to talk about the Safari Zone once we get a little bit closer to it. I'm not going to talk about once we unlock it because there will be a bunch of Pokemon to talk about, and it will take me quite a bit of time to get through them all. And so I'll probably talk a little bit once we actually see the Safari Zone. And I will show that you can't actually walk in until you get the Pokeblock case. We'll just keep Crobat out, no big deal. One thing I do want to point out though is the kind of weird spot that we are in Pokemon Emerald. One of the things that, by the way, Aaron to focus, there you go. But one of the things that kind of sucks about Pokemon Emerald specifically, actually Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, is actually this spot on the map. There's a lot of land trainers, and they're not in the spot to have fully evolved Pokemon, which really sucks, because you're going to see that there's kind of an imbalance, even though they tried very hard to make sure it's balanced in a way. But once you get towards the end of the game, it's mostly sea routes with a few like land trainers. Excuse me. But when you go through the game, you notice that like the land portions are early and about middle of the game. There are a few land routes at the end, of course, with some trainers, but most of the fully evolved Pokemon come from the sea. And it actually kind of sucks because a lot of the land Pokemon you would normally find with those trainers, I'm just going to stop bothering to even include that right there. But as you can see here, we have two paths we can technically take, but we're just taking this one. And then nothing is available here. I think there's... I remember there being an item. I guess I was wrong. But ultimately, when you get to the like sea routes, it's all fully evolved Pokemon and that jazz. Want to battle? Why would I talk to you if I don't want to battle? You're kind of a creep, dude. But and so you miss out on some like really interesting land Pokemon that could be common, like Exploud. There's very little Slackings. Masquerain is not as prevalent as you would want, and so you kind of miss a bunch of the fully evolved Pokemon that can appear on land, and it kind of sucks because there's a lot of Pokemon that you don't end up seeing their full evolutions that often in Hoenn. Like Flygon, I think you see it once, maybe, I don't. And like I understand it's a dragon, so it should be rare in quote, but you rarely see Flygon anyway, so. But then there's stuff like Golem. We don't see any Golems, really. I think we see one. I don't think we've even seen a Graveler yet. I think we see, I'm trying to think of, like, basic trainers. Look at those clouds. I love Generation 3's little palette. Just secret bases. Oh, well. Can't win them all. And Wild Battle. Now, I believe, yeah, we're still in the same route, so we're just going to get the same Pokemon. No big deal overall. And we'll just be going through. I do want to mention coming out to Mount Pyre. So one of the things that is very prevalent in Generation 3, specifically compared to other games, is kind of the gym drought. Now, Bears grow, yeah. But, you can have this. Wiki Berry. This is incredibly important. Actually, I never checked that. Is it 8? I don't think it is. But Uh, that girl right there is very important for Milotic, and I'll explain why another time, because I'm probably going to make a whole separate video on how to get a Milotic, but we'll get there. Anyway, back to what I was saying with the gym drought. So you'll notice that right about here is a giant gym drought in the game, and we had one similar to from the 3rd to the 4th gym in from Watson to Flannery. So like there was that huge section where there was no gym to fight or anything along those lines, and we were just kind of making our way. It's similar to 6 and 7 actually. I don't hear the comparison a lot, but the 7th gym is still relatively far away from where we are. We still have all of Mount Pyre, and we have quite a few more routes to explore. So it's actually kind of one of those games where you don't go from gym to gym to gym that quickly, unlike Kanto and Johto, which is actually relatively fast. This probably can tank it, right? Yeah. Wing attack's relatively weak. And of course, the one time Sludge we resist, doesn't matter. Yeah, it does 0. I do want to mention that I know that my Pokemon are kind of overleveled at this time. Switching because of freaking smokescreen, but it will balance out once we get our 5th team member, which we're pretty close to it. It's not going to be the next, like, few parts, but it'll be relatively soon. And then, at a certain point, we will have to raise our 6th team member, and it's going to be from a very low level. It's going to take a long time. Alright, thank you, Ninja Boy. Thank you for the free experience. What was I talking about? Did I finish my thought? I don't think I did. Oh, the gym drought. And it's kind of weird to, like, imagine, because you look at Kanto, and the biggest gym drought is from Vermilion to Celadon, because you have Rock Tunnel, you have all those routes in between. Oh, here is this Reggie Rock, right? Or Reggie? No, this is Reggie Steel. Or, right? Yeah, because the one on water is Red Ice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm getting them mixed up. But when it comes to, like, gym droughts, the biggest example in the 1st gen is what I already said. And maybe you could count, like, Koga to, I don't know, Blaine, I guess. Yeah, there's not many gym droughts in the first 2 generations. The biggest one in Gen 2 is... I'm trying to think. Probably Price to Claire, I believe. Because you have quite a few routes after that. And then you have the whole radio tower thing. So, yeah, it's probably that. Generation 3, now we get 2. The one from Watson to Flannery is pretty big, as you saw, and then this one, I mean, we've been going at it a little bit, and we still have a long way to go. Not too bad, though. Get rid of this Sandslash real quick. Sandslash, such a cool Pokemon. If only you were better. Would love to use you one day. But, sadly, you don't learn a ground move, making you pretty much useless. Ow. Yeah, we will be doing the Reggies. Alright, we're done here. Let's switch our lead real quick. We'll go with main Electric, no big deal. We'll switch out fast physical attacker for fast special attacker. Alright, get through. Yep, there we go. We need a surf. Thank you. What we got here? Full heal, that is not really worth my time. Full heals, while they are useful, basically for the Elite Four, and that's about it. Maybe in case of emergency, but at this point you should have enough berries where it doesn't even matter. Alright, making our way. Route 121, we are finally here, and we have many, many trainers. Yeah, we'll go with main electric. There are powers beyond our understanding in the world. Yes, there are. It's called code execution. I love the sprite, by the way. Hexmaniac Tammy. Tammy, we need to talk about your choices, girl. Alright. We do have Bite, which is pretty cool. And we win, because main electric special is amazing. And we have Shuppet. Not too bad. Yeah, we are on Route 121. I do want to talk about the Safari Zone. So how the Safari Zone works in this game is very similar to Gen 1. Except there's no specific, like, problems you can run into. In Gen 1, there was a bunch of stuff you could do to glitch out bounds and all that. And here, it's a lot more, it's Safari Zone. Go in, get some stuff. You know how it goes. There are some cool Pokemon I do want to talk about once we see the entrance, which will be next time, more than likely. And I'll talk about those here rather than later, because the Pokeblocks is a very, it's kind of one of those times where it's going to be hard to explain what's going on and all that. I will say a team member is found in the Safari Zone. There are quite a few Pokemon to be found there, and you can pretty much guess based on my team. I'm trying to think if there's any. There's a couple odd ones in there. Of course I lost. Excuses, excuses. More berries. Person berries. I always have trouble with that name. Maybe it's just, it's Persim, or I always read it as Persim or something like dumb. These berries are just weirdly named. Oh well, I think we have enough time for maybe one last battle. Maybe next year can get some spotlight for level 21. Or 21. Where are we at? Level 40. Was I thinking 41 instead of 21? What was I thinking? Alright, so with a Thunderbolt, probably will live, as I've said before, Kecleon is quite a bit of special defense. Yep. And now it's electric type, it can hit me back with Bind, ooh. Solid 4 damage. And actually, amazingly, him switching to a normal type, or electric type, kind of ruined his attack because it would have done more damage because of normal stab. There's Seviper. No problem. We've dealt with Seviper. I also really want to point out is that Seviper is a very cool sprite in Gen 3. I don't like the later ones, I don't think, not that much, but this one looks cool. Grab level 40 for Manectric. I love hitting the 40s in Pokemon. That's when you start to really see, like, how your team's coming together. Though we still have a long time to the end of the game. Still have quite a bit. Alright. Let's go Gardevoir. No problem. Maybe we can grab this HP up. Nice. And maybe we can get back to that lady without running into a wild battle. Yeah! So this is where I'm going to end it. It was a very battle-heavy, what's it called? Part. So next time we will be, of course, finishing up Route 121. Hopefully getting closer and closer to Mount Pyre. And we'll probably be talking about the Safari Zone. So, till then.